most people, at least the people that I know, are not saying, I want a dog that walks by my side looking at me the entire time, right? That structured heel. They don't want that. You don't want that. You know darn well, my friend, that there's no enjoyment at all for a dog in a structured heel. No enjoyment. They're just doing a command. And it would be, this is how I always like to think of it. It is like taking your child to Disneyland with all of the crazy, beautiful magic of Disneyland or Disney World, and then putting a school desk and some math homework and telling your child to sit in Disney World and do math homework, right? To me, that's what asking for a prolonged structured heel is for a dog. There's no fun in it. Yes, today on the podcast, we are flipping the script, my friend. We are untraining your dog today. That's right. We're going to untrain to build a better, amazing bond with your dog. Let's get into it. Ready to have a calm and peaceful life with your dog without the stress of those fear-based behaviors? Hi, I'm Tracy, and I've been there, overwhelmed by all the conflicting dog training advice and unsure of what to do next. But now I help dog lovers like you simplify your life with your dog by building confidence naturally, fostering trust, and addressing those fear-based challenges. So, if you're ready, stop chopping those chicken wieners and let's get to it. Hey there, friend. It wasn't that long ago when I was struggling with my dog's reactive behavior and I was doing all the right things. I was chasing after all the obedience classes and special ed classes and all of the things, only to find out that I had the best trained reactive dog. And it wasn't until I took a step back and I started to learn what a dog is, what it takes to connect with a dog, to reach a dog, that my whole life with my dogs changed forever. And that's what I want to invite you to as well. If you've been sitting on the fence wondering if the Fearless Framework was right for you, this is your invitation, my friend. Come and join me in the 12-month online program where you will get to hang out with like-minded individuals. You will get monthly Zoom calls with me, opportunities to chat and connect and really learn what it is like to love and live with a dog peacefully and harmoniously. Doesn't that sound great? So much easier than you think. Join today. Go to beyondobedience.ca/fearless, and I'll see you there. Well, hello, my dog-loving friend. It is Tracy. Welcome to Beyond Obedience, the podcast. Super duper welcome. If you are brand new, hello. Nice to meet you. My name's Tracy. If you are just joining us or happen to be brand new, there is a brilliant interview that I just finished up in the last 2 episodes with my mentor, Nelson Hodges. I've had so many people reach out and say that was great. I hope you took the opportunity to jump on the free class to check out Nelson's classes, monthly classes. If you haven't, please do so. Check it out. Today on the podcast, I'm kind of still on a bit of a Nelson vibe, if you will, because there were some things that Nelson sort of reiterated and said during that talk that really, again, every time I listen to Nelson talk, I learn something new every time I listen to it. So one of the things that really sort of stuck out to me was when he sort of stopped me in my tracks and said, you said that you don't train dogs, but in actuality, we do train dogs. We just don't train dogs the way people think dogs should be trained. And that really stuck out for me. So I thought, wouldn't it be great if we kind of go a little bit deeper into that? What exactly does that mean? So we're starting a new 3-part series. any opportunity I have to press those buttons. We're starting a new 3-part series. This series is going to be called Untrain Your Dog to Build a Better Bond. Untrain your dog, right? We want to really get this idea of, it kind of encompasses a lot of things. One of my colleagues and friends, Karen, used to always say training time is all the time, meaning everything that you do is training. It's kind of along the same vein, but we want to actually be a little bit more intentional of, what we're doing. So I thought I would do a 3 steps to untrain to build a better bond with your dog. This episode will be step number 1. And of course, with every step, we have to, with every new thing, we have to actually take a look at, what does obedience first mindset that we're used to, what is that? And what are we doing by suspending that, right? So I want you to think about obedience. I've mentioned this before, but obedience is like English as a second language, or, whatever language you choose as a second language, right? So we understand that dogs don't speak English. They don't understand English. So we're actually teaching them, when I say this word, I need you to do this thing, right? It's like a task. It's task focused, right? It's teaching them to sit or down or stay and heel. And it often centers over controlling the dog, or in other words, making them less doggy, right? Lots of times we talk about this idea, or you hear trainers talk about this idea about impulse control. What is impulse? Their impulse to be who they are. Their impulse to be innately, their genetic resume. So training helps us control that impulse. It helps us to feel like we're in control. But as we spoke about a lot in that interview with Nelson, he has that great saying, and I love that saying, which is control yourself and influence the dog. Don't try to control the dog. And I love that so much because quite often, and I'm not by any means an expert on controlling myself. Let me just put that out there. And I've actually had to take a step back because I have, pull the curtains back a little bit on my life right now. I have been struggling, and I mean struggling lately, with a lot of pain, like a lot of joint pain. And with that pain comes a lot of frustration. I have a lot of frustration with the fact that I cannot seem to get any help for that pain. And, doctors and all the things that I've been trying to do, and nothing has been helping. And it frustrates me. It frustrates me because it is not only is painful, but it is not allowing me to enjoy my life the way I want to enjoy my life. It's not allowing me to do the things that I want to do. There's a lot of things I still have to do, and I do them in pain. And that just makes the pain worse. But I digress. This isn't just me bitching about my woes. But what I will say is that I have had to check myself, because I know when the pain gets really, really bad, my fuse, or my tolerance level, gets really, really short. And it gets short because, where I might have before been, almost casual about my dog's quote unquote disobedience. And I usually am, as I say, because I'm not somebody that has spent any amount of time working specifically on obedience commands. When my dogs don't immediately drop what they're doing and come when they're called, I have no one to blame but myself. I haven't done the work. Right? But also I haven't done the work because usually they're okay. And usually I have a higher tolerance for it. I'm struggling so much right now because of the pain, especially if I have to walk back to them. If they make me have to move my feet, it aggravates me because of the pain of walking. Walking hurts so bad. So I have found myself getting very, very short with them, raising my voice with them, and then beating myself up about raising my voice to them. And in particular, this is coming up for me in the forefront, especially with Gunther, because this is a clean slate. He's a dog that is learning everything about me. He's learning to read my emotions, and he's learning like what that means for him, and you know and I don't want that for him. I don't want him to be like, this woman loses her, loses her, the moment she, something doesn't go her way. And that's literally what's happening. But I actually took some time and journaled some things for myself to say, like, I need to give myself grace, because pain sucks. And to forgive myself a little bit for the fact that I don't have the same temper I have a shorter fuse than I used to, and things hurt, and I'm not quite myself. And my dogs will read that first. They'll read that before anybody else. So, and honestly, the art of just journaling it has helped. Like it pulls it more to the forefront, so that I have a little bit of that microsecond spot before I yell. I go, you're yelling because you're hurt. You're not mad at the dogs. You're yelling because you're in pain, right? And it actually helps. So it's been helping. Anyway, I don't know how I got off on this, but the whole point of this is that this concept that Nelson speaks of control yourself and influence the dog, don't try to control the dog, has really been pulled up to the front for me, because I've been having, honestly, a hard time controlling myself. And giving myself grace for that. So, this very first step that we're going to talk about for untraining your dog is this idea that I want you to first really take a look at, what does training mean to you? In other words, the age-old question, why? Why are you training? Why are you asking the dog to do the things that you're asking them to do? Whether or not it's a sit, it's a down, it's a go lie down, it's a get out of the kitchen, whatever it is that you're saying. Why are you saying that? Is this something that is actually necessary and needed? For example, I just used this example, but get out of the kitchen, for me, that is needed. Right? I can't have I don't allow dogs in the kitchen. I don't want them accidentally picking up food that is toxic to them or not good for them. I certainly don't want to trip over them. And honestly, again, for me, that pain factor comes up again, because when they're in the kitchen, or if I have to stepping over dogs hurts. So, so I'm more apt to be like, get out of my way. But unfortunately, again, the pain speaks first, and it comes out not as a nice way of asking the dog to move. It comes out in a not so nice way. But again, I digress. So this first step, I want you to actually start to think about why, right? What do I really want when I'm cueing this behavior? And why do I need it? I told the story before about, going to that training seminar, and we were doing the threshold work, and I had this beautifully calm, serene dog that when I got to the threshold, she just stopped behind me, and the trainer was there going, now put her in a sit. And I was like, why? And that made me shun from the rest of the thing. But it was a fair question, right? Asking why am I asking you to do this? Does position matter? Is this actually important? What is the actual thing that I'm looking for in this moment? Right? I really want you to think about it when we talk about walking, right? When we talk about this idea of, what do you want from your walk? And I really want you to think about that. What do you really want from your walk? I want you to picture it, because most people, at least the people that I know, are not saying, I want a dog that walks by my side looking at me the entire time, right? That structured heel. They don't want that. You don't want that. You know darn well, my friend, that there's no enjoyment at all for a dog in a structured heel. no enjoyment. They're just doing a command. And it would be, this is how I always like to think of it. It is like taking your child to Disneyland with all of the crazy, beautiful magic of Disneyland or Disney World, and then putting a school desk and some math homework and telling your child to sit in Disney World and do math homework, right? To me, that's what asking for a prolonged structured heel is for a dog. There's no fun in it. Are there times that your dog needs to be in a structured heel? 100%. But it should not be the whole walk. So when it comes down to it, I want you to go like, what do I actually want? What do I actually want for my dog? Because I know if you're listening to this podcast, I know that you want your dog to enjoy the walk, right? You want it to be enjoyable for the dog and for you. You can be selfish here. Of course, you want it to be enjoyable for you. You want to experience the walk with your dog. You want the dog to have a good time. And here's the funny thing that I see with the training modality when it comes to going and taking your dog for a walk, because many people have learned like, okay, well, you have to, teach your dog to walk beside you and you give them the treats and they learn this position and you do all this stuff. And then make sure that somewhere along the line, while you're out walking your dog, that you give them their time to be a dog, right? So then you say, okay, you give them a release command, you say, okay, and then you let them go and do their thing. And it really is the biggest disconnect of all, right? It's like, split your walk up, and during this part of the walk, the dog's going to be miserable, and then during the second part of the walk where the dog gets to do their thing, you're not even in it with them. You're like checked out, you're checking your phone, you're just letting the leash go and sniffing things, and you're not a part of it at all. And then when that part's done, you bring the dog back over, and then you both walk home, and the dog's back to heeling, and he can't do anything and can't sniff, and you're back to working on your heel position. It's not enjoyable for either one of you. So, asking yourself, what is it that I actually want? Figuring out, oh, shoot, you know what? I don't really want a walk. I don't want my dog to walk at a heel. I actually talk a lot about this idea that my dogs move around and they switch position a lot on the walk. And to be fair, a lot of times that can get frustrating if I'm walking multiple dogs because they're switching sides. But I actually like the idea that they can move and meander around. And they also have the opportunity to tell me when they're feeling uncomfortable. Rue will quite often move to the other side of me if somebody's coming because she doesn't like people, right? And so if I had her in a position and been like, you have to walk here, she doesn't have the autonomy in this walk to be able to be like, I'm uncomfortable, and show me what it is that she needs. So my rules of the walk are a lot less than most people's trained walks. And they look a lot different, but we're both enjoying ourselves. My dogs can kind of go over and sniff. Now, admittingly, I get frustrated with, Nigel a little bit. Oh, what? Nigel? No, say it isn't so. It's true. I do get annoyed with him just because he's an intact male. So he does, when he gets into a space, he's like, I have to check all this pee mail and then also pee on all the things. And there is a point where I'm like, we're migrating. Let's get moving, but yeah, I still give him that space and that time to do those things because they are important to him. But I will also, in those moments, go and check out, what are we looking at? Oh, this tree is fascinating. What are we looking at? Kind of a thing. Anyway, so this very first part is literally about asking yourself, training versus living with dogs, tasks versus experiences. That's what I want you to think about. Are you wanting to train them tasks, or are you wanting to have an experience? Are you being essentially pro-social? If you didn't hear the multi-dog series where I talked about pro-sociality and the idea we're better together. We try to do things together. This experience, trying to experience things together. How can I be a part of this experience? Task versus experience is huge, right? If it, when you start to look at dogs that are performing tasks, don't get me wrong. I always have to put this. Some dogs like performing tasks, right? But then I always ask myself, do they like performing the task, or do they like the treat at the end of the task? Do they like the reward? Are they just performing for the reward? Because I will stand on this hill forever that you can work really hard to be the reward in your dog's life. You can work really hard to be the reward in your dog's life, to be something that is interesting, to share in those experiences, to be a part of their world. And then treats don't matter as much. Then dogs are doing things for you, and the treat is just the cherry on the top, right? It's not the be all and end all where, you feel like a giant Pez dispenser. So then, and getting a little bit deeper, I want to get a little bit deeper in this, because we all have our little egos. What is this feeling or outcome that I'm chasing around this command? Meaning, how does this command make me feel? And if the feeling is feeling in control, that's something we might want to reflect on. If the feeling is it makes me look good in front of others, that's a huge one, right? I like that, people will see me and think, oh man, she's got a well-trained dog, or he's got a well-trained dog. And that feeling that I have. I'm never impressed with well-trained dogs. I'm impressed with dogs that are connected with their humans. I really do feel like training in its essence isn't that hard, but building a mutual, respectful relationship with another species, that takes talent and work and challenge, and it takes self-reflection. It takes so much more than teaching a dog how to do tasks. You know what I'm saying? So I want you to sort of, this whole first step is just going to be like a little bit of reflection work. Like, how does this make me feel? How do I feel about this? Why am I doing this? Asking those questions. Why? Now, don't get me wrong. There are times when the why is actually, I do need the dog to slow down, right? I do need the dog to sort of come back and check in. I do need the dog to stop and sit at the corners because it's a crosswalk and we can't keep going. Like that's what I mean to say, there's balance here. There's times when it does matter. But now I want to kind of take it one step further and talk about compromise and curiosity, right? Because connection and reconnection is a two-way street. So some of us will have dogs that when we sit there and we go, what makes it enjoyable for my dog? If the answer to that is, my dog would really enjoy this walk more if I just unhooked the leash and let him go chase squirrels. And that might be true, and it's not wrong. Right? Like I'm not saying that that's wrong. That might be your dog's reality. I want to chase squirrels. It's not wrong. It's information, right? So in those cases, we may have to come up with some compromises. Can I be a part of this joy? I don't know, unless you love to chase squirrels. You got to run pretty quick, right? Can I be a part of this joy? And if not, can we meet halfway? Can we find a way to, take that same drive that dog loves and maybe recreate it? Maybe not out not to compete with it, but to recreate it someplace else. Can we do a hunting, seeking, searching game? Can we, play tug in a way that also incorporates a little bit of impulse control and a little bit of training, but also captures that drive? What is the thing that we can do to compromise so that we get that connection? Because connection doesn't mean your dog ignores the world, but it could mean that they're willing to bring it to you, bring you into that world. And can we get that? Can we get a dog that instead of is just like, bye, sucker, when you let go of the leash, instead goes, bye, sucker, also want to see what I found? And you're like, yes, right? I also loved one of the lines that Nelson had said in our interview, was that one of the greatest things that a human can do is engagement with the dog. And part of that engagement means happiness. Like being happy for your dog is one of the greatest things that you can give for your dog. So it means that you have to be present and aware, and what are they doing and what's the thing that's important to them. Can you be a part of that joy? Can you find a way to be part of it? Right? That kind of thing. So I want to make sure I kind of went off on a tangent there. But this is step one. So let's kind of recap it. Step one of the untrained dog. Step one is literally going to be defining what training is, the way that you're training, the obedience first mindset, the mindset of teaching your dog tasks or things to do. Do you actually need those tasks? Why are they important? Why do you need to do it? Then you're going to dismantle the patterns that aren't really serving your relationship, right? Because when we take some time to untrain, we're going to make space for a little bit of clarity and also some curiosity. We're going to challenge traditional training, right? This idea of making them less doggy and actually being like, I want to be a part of this doggy world with you. You know what I'm saying? Like, I got to be a part of it. And taking those moments to, of course, you know me. If your dog disconnects from you in these moments to sniff a breeze or dig a hole or run ahead of you, don't label it as disobedience, right? Like, just be like, that's not disobedience. That's a how interesting moment. And we log it into like journal. I don't know if you're a journal. I'm a journaler. I like to journal things. Right? So untraining is not about doing nothing. Okay, I want to make that perfectly clear. When I say untrain the dog, I don't mean by like, woohoo, we're just going to unclip the leash and be like, go free, little buddy. That's not what we're talking about. It's about doing less so that you can notice more. It's about not focusing on the tasks that you want dogs to do, but actually watching them, observing them, seeing what they're doing. Because the moment that you stop training for compliance, you start listening for that moment of connection. And I honestly believe reconnection doesn't start with a sit or worse, a look at me command. The look at me command, I mean, I used to do it, like I took obedience. The look at me command, I used to always laugh at, like this forced thing, like, look at me, like, pay attention, make eye contact with me, pay attention to me. There are so many better ways to get your dog to look at me. And I'll tell you this, the first way to get your dog to look at you is shut your mouth. We're going to talk more about that in the next couple of episodes. But yeah, the best way to get your dog to look at you is to stop talking to them. Stop talking to your dog. They'll look at you a lot more when you stop talking. Right? Anyway, that's just an insight into the next episode, but also a little how interesting in itself, right? Reconnecting doesn't start with a sit. It starts with seeing your dog as they are and asking them, what do you need to enjoy this moment with me? What can I do to make this moment enjoyable with me? What are the things that light you up? And can I be a part of it? And understand this, especially if you're coming off, if you're someone with multiple dogs, you're coming off the multi-dog series that I just had before the Nelson interview. That will be different for different dogs, right? That's going to be different for different dogs, right? Some dogs are going to find joy in meandering and sniffing and taking their time and peeing on things, while other dogs are going to be about searching, seeking, and hunting. And some dogs are going to be like, it's everything. All the dogs are going to be different. What does that mean for you as the multi-dog pack person? It might mean separate walks. It might mean controlled chaos instead of a pack walk. Shout out to my friend Jamie with her 3 beagles. right? Who still laughs every time she's like mentions pack walks with 3 beagles. Pack walks with 3 beagles is you're lucky if you get controlled chaos. That's what we've decided, right? So, try this week a silent walk. No commands, no corrections, just observations. Just see what happens, right? And then scoot on over to the Living Beyond Obedience group and tell me what happened. Tell me what your observations are. Tell me what you think about this very first step of just reflection. Why am I doing the things that I'm doing? Why am I teaching the things that I'm teaching? And what purpose does it serve? Am I trying to just control the dog? And is there a way that I can stop trying to control the dog and influence the dog instead? Are there ways that I can control myself? These are all questions I want you to ask in this very first step to the untrained dog. Because let me tell you, my friend, I had 19 untrained dogs. 19 untrained dogs at one point in time. And they were just good dogs. Nay, I say, they were great dogs. They were great dogs. So there you go. That's step number 1. Be sure to join me for the next 2 episodes where we continue this Untrained series, how to untrain your dog to create a better bond with your dog. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Listen, if you like this kind of thing, be sure to take 30 seconds and leave me a 5-star written review on Apple. Really helps push this podcast out to more and more people. Share it with a friend, another dog lover. And as always, my friend, get out there today and be the person that your dog thinks you are, because your dog thinks that you're amazing. And so do I. Have a great day, and I will see you in the next episode. Bye for now. And one more thing, this podcast is meant for entertainment and education purposes only and is not meant to replace hands-on professional training. If you're really struggling with your dog, please reach out to a professional in your area. All right, I think that's it. Bye for now.